guys, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. I am super excited to share today's video with you because we are going to be making all fall recipes. We're going to be making an appetizer, a meal, and a dessert that are all fall inspired. All of these recipes came out of this Better Homes and Gardens fall recipes, and I found this in the checkout at Walgreens actually, and I cannot find it online. But if you see this in the store, I would totally recommend picking it up because it has a bunch of great recipes in it. There are not a lot of ads, or any ads really, I don't think, and it's packed full of fall food inspiration. The first recipe I'm gonna share with you is a really cute appetizer recipe for a pumpkin cheese ball with sage. If you wanted to do a fall themed cheese board or charcuterie board, this would be something really great to put out on there. Next up, we are going to be making a pan roasted beef tenderloin with mushrooms. I know that my husband is super excited for this one. And on the side, we're gonna be doing some easy roasted broccoli with pecorino, Romano cheese, and lemon. Lastly, for dessert, I am making some maple cheesecake bars. And these have a vanilla bean whipped cream on top. This is probably the thing that I'm the most excited for. So I hope that you are ready for some fall cooking inspiration. All of these recipes will either be linked in the description box below or typed out if you want to make them yourself. I also wanted to mention that today's video is in collaboration with Mandy over at the channel Living in the Mom Lane. You guys always ask me for recommendations for other moms who work outside the home here on YouTube, and she is definitely one of those. She posts a lot of content that is similar to mine, a lot of grocery hauls. She posts some lifestyle content, cleaning videos, cooking videos, and if you like my videos, I know that you are going to like hers. So I'll leave her video and her channel linked in the description box below. She's also going to be making some delicious fall recipes. So if you do go over to her channel, please tell her that I sent you and give her a subscribe. I know that you guys are gonna love her videos. And if you are coming over from Mandy's channel, hi, my name is Jen, and I hope that you subscribe and stick around. Okay, so let's get started on these recipes. We're gonna start out with the appetizer first, which is the pumpkin sage cheese ball.
Okay, so when I make cheese balls, I love to do it in my stand mixer. I just think that it is the easiest way to quickly combine all the ingredients. So in the bowl, I have a couple packages of cream cheese, and I'm adding some finely shredded sharp cheddar cheese. Once that is combined, I'm going to add a pat of softened butter along with some pureed pumpkin. This is not pumpkin pie filling, it's just plain pureed pumpkin. And I was honestly a little bit skeptical about this dish. I wasn't quite sure about the pumpkin flavor, but it's very subtle and definitely gives the cheese ball a nice texture. So I'm taking some sage off of my plant here on the deck. I grow my own herbs on my deck, and you do not need to be a gardening aficionado to do this. If I can keep them alive, you can too. So I need about 2 tablespoons of sage for this recipe, and I'm just going to roll that up tightly and mince that as finely as I can. For any kitchen tools I use in this recipe, I will have all of those linked in the description box below. If you guys are looking for a specific item or tool, you'll be able to find it there more easily. To the cheese mixture, I added in my sage. I'm also adding some smoked paprika, some salt, and some garlic powder, and mixing that up. Once the mixture is well combined, I'm going to turn that out onto a couple pieces of plastic wrap, and I'm going to roll that up into a ball, spin it around, and pack it as tightly as I can, and that goes in the refrigerator to chill. Once it is about halfway chilled, you can wrap some rubber bands around it. This is optional, but it does make it look more like a pumpkin, and of course I want to be extra like that, so of course I did it. So I put that back in the fridge, and here is what it looked like a couple hours later. It comes out like a little pumpkin cheese ball. How cute is that? And it's orange because cheese is orange. This is super cute, and I would definitely make it again. Like I said, you can't really taste the pumpkin a lot. It's like a very subtle flavor. It's definitely savory, not sweet, so don't be worried. But I did coat it with some shredded cheese. I put a little pretzel on top, for the stem, and then I put a few more sage leaves in there just for the leaves of the pumpkin. Now this is definitely like extra, and you don't necessarily have to do this, but like I said, if you're putting it on a fall cheese board, I think it's super cute. So here's what that turned out like. We had it with some crackers as an appetizer for dinner. Totally delicious. Definitely try this. Super easy and impressive. Okay, so next up we are going to go on to the main course, which is a roasted beef tenderloin with mushroom sauce. My meat eating husband was definitely super happy about this recipe. So what I have here is a whole beef tenderloin. I actually had this in the freezer from several months ago. They had them on sale at the grocery store, and I think I bought 3 of them at that time. And so I thawed this out, and I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to try out this recipe. So what I'm doing is just tying this up, and the reason I'm doing that is just to keep all the meat together and keep it sort of in a tight bundle so it will cook evenly. Now I did go ahead and trim some of the fat off of this before I tied it up, so make sure you do that as well. I seasoned it with salt and pepper, and next I'm going to wash up my mushrooms. So if you guys have watched my videos before, you know that I don't really care for mushrooms, but there are times when I do things just for my husband, and that is cook a huge pan of mushrooms. But anyway, right now I am heating up my skillet to brown my beef tenderloin. So once that skillet was screaming hot, I went ahead and added the piece of meat in, and you just want to sear that on all sides. It will probably take about 5 to 8 minutes, kind of turning it over. You want to make sure that you sear it all the way around. And while that was finishing searing in the skillet, I'm going to chop up some more veggies for the mushroom mixture. So the recipe calls for some shallot, so I'm going to go ahead and mince that up. I find shallots a little bit hard to chop. I do like using them because I like the milder flavor, rather than use like a strong white onion or something like that. But I do find them a little bit tedious to chop. But anyway, I'm just going to mince those up as finely as I can, and that will go into the skillet once the beef comes out of the oven. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I'm using this Cuisinart skillet, which goes from stovetop to oven rather nicely. I'll be sure to link that down below. It's one of my favorite skillets. I love it. It's nice and big, and I can fit a ton of food in there. So next up, after my mushrooms were washed up, I'm going to go ahead and chop those. I actually do really like chopping mushrooms, even though I don't like eating them. I've talked about before that I actually really like chopping food. I don't know, it's just super relaxing to me. But anyway, you want to go ahead and chop all these up. You don't need to chop them super fine or super small because you're going to cook them down in the skillet, and obviously they will decrease quite a bit in volume. So here are my mushrooms all chopped up. Those are just waiting to go into the pan after the roast comes out of the oven. And then I also minced up some garlic to go in the pan with my shallots. So now the steak or the beef roast is done in the oven. That was in there for about 30 minutes. I'm going to take that out, remove it to a platter, and cover it with foil to keep it warm. I am using the same skillet along with all that nice beef juices in there, and adding my mushrooms to that along with a pat of butter, and I'll just saute those down until they are nice and lovely and delicious. I'm saying that because I assume these mushrooms are delicious. I personally didn't eat them, but my husband told me they were they were delicious. Once the mushrooms were cooked down most of the way, I'm adding in the shallot and the garlic and cooking that through. Next, I'm going to add some dry white wine. The original recipe calls for sherry. I seriously have the hardest time finding that around here. I live in Iowa, and you guys hear me talk all the time about trying to find ingredients, but the white wine worked just fine. So I added that along with some fresh thyme, put the beef tenderloin back in the skillet, and boom, that was done. We're gonna just wait on that while we cook the broccoli. So I am making this recipe for pecorino romano lemon roasted broccoli, and this was killer. It was delicious. I have to say, my family did not like it much, but if you like roasted broccoli, this is awesome. And the flavor of the pecorino romano cheese along with the lemon juice is just, it's bomb. I love it. I will definitely be making this again, even if I'm the only one using it. So I'm washing my broccoli in my salad spinner, gave it a good dry off, and then I'm putting it on a sheet tray that I had lined with foil. I'm drizzling some olive oil over the top, about 1/4 cup, and then I'll just season that with salt and pepper. And the great thing about this broccoli recipe is it actually roasts at the same temperature as the steak does, so you're kind of able to cook everything at the same time. You guys probably saw I had baked potatoes roasting in there in the oven as well. So I shredded up some pecorino romano cheese. Again, that was pricey. I don't know that I've purchased authentic pecorino cheese before, but I would definitely do it again because it was delicious and well worth the price. I'm seasoning my broccoli, and then I do like to kind of toss the broccoli around with the oil and the seasonings just to make sure that it all gets coated. So once that comes out of the oven and it's all roasted, you zest a lemon over the broccoli, which is the bomb if you like lemon. I just love citrus flavors. My husband isn't really that into it, but for this meal, he definitely got the mushrooms and I got the roasted broccoli, so everyone was happy. So after I zested the lemon over the broccoli, I am just juicing another lemon over the broccoli, or that same lemon actually, and then you can pile on that delicious shredded cheese. Yum. Do you guys like roasted broccoli with cheese? This is seriously the first recipe for roasted broccoli and cheese that I have really, really loved. So definitely try that out. Here's what it looked like when it was all finished. And then we had this alongside of the roasted beef tenderloin. I also made the baked potatoes. I put some shredded cheese on there, sour cream, salt, and pepper, and that was a bomb dinner. Okay, so lastly, I'm sharing a fall-inspired cheesecake with you guys. So I'm starting out with some graham crackers in the food processor, or you could totally buy pre-crumbled graham crackers, whatever you want to do. I'm adding some sugar into the food processor along with some melted butter, and that will be the crust for these maple cheesecake bars. I want to mention also that I did cut this recipe in half. The original recipe calls for it to be made in a 13x9 pan, which makes quite a bit of cheesecake. And if you were making it for a lot of people, I think that would be fine. But we're not having gatherings at this time, and your girl definitely does not need a whole pan of 13x9 size cheesecake in my house, or I would be eating cheesecake for every single meal. So I lined my 8x8 dish with foil, sprayed it with a little bit of cooking spray, and I'm packing the crust mixture in there, flattening the bottom of it with a measuring cup, and I'm going to pop that into the oven just for about 10 minutes to let the crust cook through. The best thing about using a food processor to make your graham cracker crumbs is that you can then rinse it out and use it to make your cheesecake batter. So in there I have 2 packages of softened cream cheese. I'm pouring in some maple syrup and some white sugar, and then I'm just going to process that until everything comes together. Alternatively, you could also use a regular hand mixer or a stand mixer for this, but you'll definitely need some type of electric mixer if you want to make cheesecake and get it nice and smooth. Next, I'm going to add some eggs, and I just went ahead and let the food processor run while I added those, and it also calls for some cream, the recipe does, so I added that too. I was kind of wondering if this recipe was going to have a super strong maple flavor, and it does have a little subtle bit of a maple flavor, but not too much. So if you're someone like me that's not totally down with the strong maple flavor, I would still recommend making these because they turn out perfect. So I added some flour, some sour cream, and some vanilla, and then let that mix up the rest of the way, and my batter was done. So I'm pouring this over the crust mixture. Is there anything better than cheesecake? I think not. I love cheesecake. I never met a cheesecake I didn't like, seriously. So while that was in the oven cooking, I went ahead and made the whipped cream that goes on the top. This is just some heavy whipping cream, about 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla bean paste along with some powdered sugar, and then you just whip that up with a whisk or a stand mixer until the cream is at stiff peaks. Do not over whip it or you will definitely have butter. Okay, so here's what the cheesecake looks like when it came out of the oven. You want to let that cool for about an hour at room temperature, then pop it in the fridge for it to chill the rest of the way. I would recommend using this vanilla bean paste. I get it on Amazon, so I'll link it down below, but it gives your whipped cream like these little flecks of vanilla, which I just think is so neat and fancy, and it tastes delicious. So I also refrigerated the whipped cream, and then voila, when it's done, you can just pull the cheesecake out of the pan, or when it's done refrigerating, pull the cheesecake out of the pan. I'm just using my knife to cut this into about 9 pieces, I think. I actually had a piece missing because my daughter had asked for a piece before it was fully refrigerated, and I let her have one. But here's what that looks like. This was so creamy and delicious. I will definitely be making this recipe again, and I hope you guys try it. I served it with the whipped cream and a couple of blueberries on top, and that was it. So what do you guys think about this fall meal? Let me know in the comments below what recipe you're planning on making, if any, out of these.
All right, so that is going to wrap it up for today's fall-inspired cooking video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments below if you are planning on trying out any of these recipes. Don't forget to check out Mandy's channel. I'll have her channel and her video linked down below in the description box. I hope that you enjoyed, and as always, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.